Hey everyone, it's Walking Dead Bear. With summer quickly approaching, with the temperatures going up, there are a lot of people on the internet lately talking about getting out there and hiking with their children. So I thought maybe I'd take a moment to sit back and talk about my experiences so far hiking with Sparkles and suggestions, tips, advice that I might give as people contemplate taking the child out to hike. Now, first thing I want to say is if you have a lot of experience backpacking, understand hiking with a child means you're going to be hiking their hike. It's not going to be your hike. You're not going to be making the big miles that you typically make unless you're going to be out for weeks and weeks. If you're going to do a lash type of hike, you know, a long ass section hike where you're going to be out for 200, 300, 400 miles, then yeah, maybe by the time you hit around mile 100, your child will have their trail legs. They might start pulling 15-mile days, 20-mile days if you're talking about a 6, 7-year-old child or older. But for the most part, the general rule of thumb, and I found this to be absolutely true with Sparkles, not because of physical limitations, but because of mental ones, that we typically say a mile per year of age for a child tends to be the rule of thumb. In other words, when I take Sparkles out now, she's 7.5. Those first 5 miles, she does really well. Even with climbs, we average close to 2 miles an hour. After mile 5, she starts to slow down, and it's more because her attention span starts to wander. She's not all about walking. Most kids that age, they're not. They get out there, they do 5 miles, now they start looking around at the clouds, or they notice streams and creeks and waterfalls, they're looking for animals. And this is okay, this is what you want them to do. But like I said, you have to just simply remember, you're hiking their hike. You know, between miles 5 and 7, Sparkles will typically start to talk about wanting to be done for the day. You know, how much farther, how much longer, when are we going to get to the shelter, when are we going to be done? But she still remains in fairly good spirits about it. She still kind of has this can-do attitude about her. After mile 7, once again, she's 7.5, then she starts to really slow down. Then she starts to really want to be done, but she kind of takes on that typical, you know, childlike attitude where she kind of goes limp. And that goes for her walking, where before she was doing 2 miles an hour, now I'm lucky to get 1 mile an hour out of her. Before, where she was passing older hikers going up hillsides, she's getting passed by everybody. And so this is just something to remember when you go out. It's what are you looking to do? Are you looking to make miles? If you're looking to make miles, leave the child at home. If you're looking to build memories with your child, then just plan your days accordingly. Now for the summer hike, there's a reason why I picked the starting and end points that I'm picking. Now, part of it is because it's picking up my section hike on the Appalachian Trail, but it also just so happens to be a fairly, as far as the AT goes, flat stretch of trail, right? So Bears Den Hostel to around Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania, is some of the most forgiving terrain and elevation on the Appalachian Trail. That's not to say that everything throughout that stretch is easy. It's just to say, compared to some of the climbs in Georgia and North Carolina, Tennessee, this is going to be much more of an easy time for her. And she's going to feel like, well, if I've done those climbs before, then maybe I can do 10 miles on flat terrain, or maybe I can do 12. And I'm hoping by the end of the hike to get her close to a 15-mile day, being that we have 11 days planned. But we'll have to wait and see. So that's one of the things that I kind of do. Now, not only throughout that stretch, I look at 11 days and I think to myself, throughout this stretch, I'd average over 20 miles a day. I'm looking to average close to 10 miles a day hiking with her. And so I've planned days accordingly. I've planned a couple Neros in that hike. I've also planned a lot of days that don't go above 10. And the reason simply is I want to leave that choice up to her. I want to make her part of that decision-making process. So I know she can do 9. She's done it before in the mountains. So she certainly should be able to do 10, 11, 12 in this stretch. But when we hit those marks where I have, let's say, planned to hike to a particular shelter, and maybe it's a 9 to 10 mile day, if we get there early enough, I'm going to look at her and say, do you want to keep walking? Do you want to take a break and think about it? Or do you want to just set up camp for the day? and I'm going to let her make that call. Again, like I said, this is about her enjoying each day on the trail. In addition, there are things to see along the way, and so I've also looked to that. You know, there are historical sites in Harper's Ferry that a child might find interesting. There are ruins along the way, the Washington Monument in near Boonesboro, Maryland. These are things she's going to find neat, cool. She's going to want to explore, and it's going to make her day a little bit more interesting as we hike along. So those are the other things too that I would suggest anybody who's taking a child out look for. Look for those interesting things. If you're thinking about taking your child out, you know, a great hike is the Grayson Highlands with the wild ponies. So that's certainly something, and you can sell the trail a little bit more to your child by letting them know those things that they're going to experience. Anyways, those are just some things that I was thinking about that I thought maybe I'd share here on this channel as we get ready to head out to hike. The only other thing that I might recommend thinking about is make sure you watch the weather. Summertime, you know, if your child's really young, children don't adapt as quickly to heat or as to cold as adults do. So just keep that in mind. I wouldn't recommend taking small ones out in 40-degree rainy weather. You know, the idea is to get them to associate good memories of the trail as they're young, so that as they get older, they want to embrace the suck. They kind of will see it as a merit badge to deal with bad weather and to get through it and to hike on. And that's really what we want. My hope is if I do this right, as I know some other parents feel the same way out there, that Sparkles will be my hiking partner for the next 10, 15, 20 years or more. Hopefully until I can't hike anymore if I have my way. But you know, these are the years, these young years, where you're really going to set the tone for that. And so I just want to throw out some thoughts I had about that. And like I said, I'll be posting some other videos, hopefully before we head out to hike, specifically about the gear that Sparkles is carrying, and I might even share a little bit about what I'm carrying as well. Until the next time, take care and hike on and hike happy.